Welcome back, coders, to another quick video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a classic. Because of the backwards compatibility on the Xbox Series X, I thought it only fitting, well, and the merge between Xbox and Bethesda, I thought it only fitting to check out an old classic, one that I hadn't visited since the PC days, and that's the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Now, I know most people love Skyrim, and that's their favorite one in the entire series, and while I think it's a good game, I've always had kind of a sweet spot for Oblivion, and that's just because I grew up on it. It was my first like PC game that really pushed the graphics, and it was able to test out my graphics card in a way that was just completely impossible at the time with other games. So I was really happy that I got a chance to go back to this one. Now, this is the Xbox 360 game that has now had enhancements incorporated from the Xbox One X running on the Xbox Series X. So what that means is that you are getting Oblivion running at a full fat 4K and at 30 FPS, unfortunately. That is the one downside so far that I've seen, is that it's at 30 FPS. Maybe there's a chance there's going to be a boost to it, but they seem to be sticking to current gen and previous gen games for those FPS boost options. Either way, though, I thought I'd start the video off with that sweeping grand entrance of the sunset and the incredibly classic music that Oblivion has. It really is one of those things where, as the music swells, it kind of gets you like enraptured by everything that's going on. It's quite the impressive game, and I continue to love it. I'm going to talk about a couple things that I thought were particularly cool playing it on the Series X that is maybe a little different than, you know, other places you might play it if you'd played on the One X, or if you even play it back on the PC at the time. Because SSDs were not a thing, and the Xbox Series X has super fast loading, that is one thing that completely transforms this game. Back in the day, it used to take anywhere from 5 to 20, 30 seconds to load into a simple house. It was something that's plagued this series for a long time. I'm not so sure about Skyrim, but I know that it plagued the original game, and it plagues this one. That is no longer an issue with the fast SSD. It literally loads as quick as the bar can show up on the screen, essentially. And then once you've loaded it before, loading back out to the regular world is literally instant. There is no, it's a fade to black and a fade in, and it's literally just as fast as that, but it's already got it going. There were times when it loaded so fast, it just kind of skipped it. So, skipped the load entirely. It was just like, boom, okay, we're here. And it was kind of jarring, but it was just one of those things where technology meets, old school development, and in a very magical way. But I think what I found that was most interesting is just how well the game actually holds up. Like, visually, it is still one of the more attractive and appealing games that I've seen, from that era. Even though there's a lot of things that leave to be desired, like a lot of pop-ins, stuff like that, there's like something about the artwork and the way that they did it. They even had friggin' parallax occlusion mapping for the rocks so that they look three-dimensional, even though it's just a flat 2D texture that they're using in parallax occlusion mapping. It's insane. I can't believe, honestly, that a game this old is able to look this good and run this well and load that fast and all that stuff. Like, hats off to the Xbox backwards compatibility team, and also their acquisition of Bethesda. I think that's going to be a game changer, especially over the next like 3 years. Really look for it next year. This first year might surprise us, but I would expect really those things to start coming in the next 2 years, like the subsequent years, so 2022. Yeah, so I played around with it. The only things that I think are completely antiquated and really hard to get into anymore is just the overall controls. Like, they really do feel ancient. Aiming is a nightmare in it. I ironically switched over to a bow and arrow just because I preferred the gameplay style, but I will say that the actual controls themselves are rough. Aiming with the bow and arrow is a pain in the butt. So I would recommend probably doing sword and shield. I just never liked first-person sword and shield mechanics. So that is one thing that is interesting. This one still does pop out to third person, just like all those classic games. But man, the animation and rigging is awful back on those games. Skyrim still like suffered from this. It was much better, but it still suffered from this. There's something about that team that just They haven't gotten their animation rigging right. Either way, I do think it's worth revisiting, at least for those sunsets, at least for the adventure. And honestly, there's just something really magical about the setup of the whole thing. The way that you're kind of just dropped into the world and said, figure it the fuck out. I just love that, and I hope that more games do that in the future. Well, we'll go ahead and let the footage play out. Again, a lot of really solid 4K footage playing for you, so I hope you enjoy this in its full, unabashed quality. Captured straight from the Xbox Series X with an external hard drive, which is a really cool trick that it's able to do. So if you want to learn more about that, I made a video about it about a month back, so go ahead and check that one out as well. Thank you again. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. We're close to 1,000 subscribers. It would mean the world to us. It really has been a kind of a passion building this channel up and building a community that we love and trust. Anyway, thank you again, and as always, stay classy, coders.
Greetings.